not trying to be personal, but I'm looking at college students that look like they would rather still be sleeping. And I'm right there with you.
It's Halloween. I thought for sure everybody would be wearing ears like Elsa.
These are our costumes.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Is your costume being a college student or what?
Yes,
being a tired.
Yeah, being an aerospace engineering student that's launching a CubeSat.
Hey, you guys pulled it off pretty well.
Thank you.
Except Matthew. Matthew looks like he's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
What was that?
I said Matthew looks bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Oh, of course.
All right. Just need to move a few things around, so we'll get started in just a second. All right. Well, to start things off, we had a little bit of spooky music, but we're just maybe started a little bit late for playing some of that, but maybe a little bit later we can get along to some of that. But I guess welcome to everyone's Halloween meeting today. I guess it is sad to see that there's not as many people in costumes, but you know, we're all busy people that have to manage that. All right. But just a little bit about today, we're just gonna have a very brief icebreaker, then go into some PDR feedback, talk a little bit about the AXP team's high altitude balloon project, because we are going to be launching next Friday, this Friday. They're the same thing at this point, I guess. But if you guys are able to make it, we'd love to see you there. And we might be offering some sort of live streaming service as well if you are able to tune in when we are launching. Then we're going to talk a little bit about homework that we have for you guys this week. Nothing to be scared of, and we probably shouldn't call it homework, just a few things like fun activities to do for next week. And at the very end, we kind of have a special surprise to go along with some of the PDR feedback. But to go ahead and get started with the icebreaker. So I know you guys were able to go to the PDR. We're kind of able to, you know, look around the museum a little bit. Were there any really cool things that you guys saw that you want to share and see if anyone thought the same thing? Elsa, it looks like you're raising your hand.
I had one. So I went with my stepdad, and he bought his 3D camera, so we can see the pictures in VR later. So, and then there's one plane in one of the hangars that's over on the side, and you can see inside of it. So he took a picture on the inside, and it was really cool when we went back and looked at it.
Yeah.
It almost made me fall over because it was kind of like diagonal. And so when I put the headset on, I was like, oh gosh, I almost fell over, but I'm okay.
Absolutely. Does anyone else have any, you know, fun things like that they saw?
I saw something totally not aerospace related, but I don't know if you guys, when we were having lunch, did you see the gal that looked like she was about 75 and she was like totally bulked out? She was wearing like the tank top and like she had this muscle build I've never had. I was impressed at her age that, she was keeping it up fit.
Absolutely.
Maybe she used steroids.
I just know I wouldn't want to make her mad.
Yeah, definitely.
That's fair. I don't know.
Did you guys
Anybody-
notice something about the ceiling in the auditorium? They had those black tiles in there. Did you notice anything? So they put that ceiling in. If you look at it, it is if you were looking from the underside, it's what the B-2 bomber looks like.
Oh,
And so that shape of the way the black ceiling tiles were cut out, kind of the triangular and stuff, was like the B2. And I was impressed that it's just like this subtle thing slipped in there that you might not notice if you didn't look.
yeah. Was that intentional?
Oh, I'm sure it was. What do they call them? Like Easter eggs or whatever? Like they have them at at Disneyland and all
Yeah.
that. Just the things that you may not notice, but then, you're like, oh, wait. And I think it was like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anybody else have anything cool that they saw?
What about like the giant rockets just like right outside the front door? You definitely don't see those every day. I don't know.
That guy that we talked to said that they were trying to like find a way to bring them inside. I wonder if he was like, they're gonna build buildings around them because they can't disassemble them at this point, right? Like they're so massive.
I mean, why can't they disassemble them?
Why would they?
I don't know.
I feel like it would almost be easier to build a building around it.
But if it
That's
has
because
different stages, that might naturally break down to take it
True,
apart with the stages.
MJ, it's because they're engineers. Whatever they put together, they have to take apart.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because part of what gets done is the engineer designing it. But like when you think about buildings, part of it is the construction workers. I see some things that are designed like, think about how they get the materials up on those really tall buildings. How do you get the material up to actually build a 22nd and 23rd and 24th floor and all
Yeah.
that? It's really amazing, the ingenuity to actually be able to build that high. And lots of times the engineer is just like, oh, here's my, or architect, here's my design, do it. And then the construction, the contractor has to figure out how to do it.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of work.
Hey, John, Joel, and MJ, did you want to tell them about your special excursion the week before out in the back with the 30,000-pound bomb out there?
Oh yeah. So if you go out in like behind all the hangars and everything, there's this big parking lot, and there's just like a 30,000-pound bomb that's just sitting there. If I remember right, it was like hollowed out, wasn't it?
It actually was metal. It's a test bomb. It's what they launch from the B-52s when they're practicing their bombing runs. So it actually just is the same weight as a regular bomb, like a nuclear bomb or something, and they drop it and they see how close to the target they get. So, but it's 30,000 pounds. You should have seen Joel try to lift it.
I was able to be clear, but
Yeah.
Only a couple inches off the ground though. Don't let him lie to you.
that's fair.
Maybe he had that older woman, the muscular woman, help him.
That's it, yeah. I guess. Anyone else have any exciting thing that they saw?
One question I have is kind of an icebreaker. I guess I don't really know how Halloween is working for you guys this year because COVID, but what are some of you guys' costumes?
Tegan,
I don't have one this year, but the last costume I had, I was Artemis from Greek mythology. But this year I'm just a Star Trek cat because that's all I had. I have a Star Trek badge and a cat ear. So that's all I had. That was kind of costumey. They don't really go together, but that's all I had.
Solid.
So I'm doing a Zoom Halloween party with all of my friends, which I'm sure is going to be insane because we're all huge nerds and it's going to be great. But I'm dressing in an alternative fashion because I wouldn't be allowed to otherwise, and this is my hair. There's over 50 feet of material between the two of them. And then it basically just
Okay.
out of my head. But except you wouldn't be able to see my actual hair, but I don't want to put it up now because I want to put my makeup on first, but I don't want to wear my makeup because my party doesn't start till 5. And I don't want to be wearing drugstore makeup for more than 2 hours. So kind of where I'm at.
Is that a heavy wig? I mean, is it gonna, you said there's so much fabric.
It's like, so it's made out of something called crin, which is hollow and it's really stretchy and light. So it's lighter than my actual hair, which is kind of unfortunate, but no, it's extremely light. It's not heavy at all.
You won't be walking around like this. Like
No.
Cool.
That's cool. Anybody else got anything? There's some stuff in the chat I see.
It's kind of hard to set this, but I don't know how to set this up, so I'm just gonna put it here. I'm wearing a Cheshire Cat costume,
Oh, that's cool.
mostly because it's really comfortable.
yeah.
There's some people dressing as themselves, or like Caleb Rouse says he's a big nerd. Dylan says he's a teenage boy. All right.
I'm an old lady handing out treats. My mom, she started when she doesn't think you're funny. She lives with me, you know, she's 86. She'll go, ha, ha, ha. And I said, Mom, we're going to put you by the front door. And then when we open it and the little kids are there, we're going to have you go, ha, ha, ha. And I said, you'll scare them all away.
You might not get very many people that way. I think word will start to spread around.
I know. It's
That's
kind of
ideal. Then you get to keep all the candy for yourself.
Exactly.
That's also true.
I don't know. I have a Medusa wig from my costume last year that I might just sauce on and wear around my apartment. And I have my one orange eye contact because I broke the other one.
Keegan, you're on mute.
I wanted contacts too, but my mother told me I couldn't have them because they're creepy and she did not want to look at me with white eyes. So, well, that's super cool. You should definitely do that. Halloween's so much fun. So.
Halloween's my favorite holiday of all time. I've had these orange contacts since I was in high school. So it's been like 6 years probably. And like, I don't know. I want to get the all black ones, like the Scalera ones that are just like 100%. But they're so expensive.
Do those itch at all? Like I've never.
No.
Are they like just like normal contacts except colored?
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, like you can't even see the color. Like there's like a faint orange outline like in my peripheral, but nothing wild.
That's pretty cool.
Like
I wanted colored contacts last year, but I didn't get them. I wear normal contacts, so that would have been interesting. My sister wanted me to get red ones. Yeah, my sister wanted me to get red ones to just wear like normally. I'm just like, why in the world? Like I don't even want colored ones at all because I feel like it'd be kind of annoying. But they'd be a lot less. They'd be easier not to lose. Like I lose my normal contacts all the time. It's not that good.
You should do what I did and get dailies. So that way, if you lose them every day, it doesn't matter.
Well, mine you replace them every 2 weeks, so I can replace them, but it can still be kind of annoying because I'll replace them like a week early, and then it'll be super dry by the time I get to the next set.
That-
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with this talk of context that glasses are just better in almost every way.
Okay, walk outside and then walk inside in the winter.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's also something to consider. It's a little annoying, but
I wear both, to be fair. I'm
mhm.
half and half. Sometimes one or the other is just a more convenient option.
It's really hard, as Caleb says. Contacts are easier, I think, especially in the pandemic, because like glasses with a mask just fogs instantly. It's bad.
It's not.
But they also can hold your mask down if you don't have one of those little wires sewn into it.
I
You
mean,
just
yeah.
put it over there.
What was that, Tegan?
I have nose pieces, so I just slide my mask between my nose pieces and my glasses, and then it stays because my face is like a weird shape for a mask. But my glasses usually end up on my forehead, and my mask usually touches my eyes. But the downside to contacts with like during quarantine is that you have to put your hands in your eyes. So you just want to make your hands very well before you do that. Which I mean is kind of
What song does everybody sing that's 20 seconds when they're washing their hands? What'd you say, Tegan?
I just count. Like I just count to 20. So I mean, I did that before the pandemic. I still do it, so it never really changed.
Also, unpopular opinion, 20 seconds is like a long time. Like I get like you should fully wash your hands, but like 20 seconds of washing your hands, I feel like you do the job in like 10.
No. I feel like you do not get the job done in 10 seconds.
I
Maybe
just
some
read-
people.
Yeah. I just read that actually to kill all the bacteria, it actually takes a full minute.
Yeah, nobody has that kind of time.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I'll just take the L on that one.
It was in a book, so it must be real. And the book was called The Body.
Okay.
I don't know if it is real or not, but that's just what it said. It also said that our hair grows, each hair grows about 3 feet. And that depending on where on your body you have the hair, it has a different lifespan. So
that makes
head
sense.
hair is 6 to 7 years. Armpit and leg hair is more like a few weeks or so. I don't know. It's what it says, but you know.
I thought it was like your hair grows an inch every month.
He said it grows 1/3 of a millimeter every day. So if you want to convert that, you can test it. But the thing is, it varies. Have you guys seen the picture of that girl? She's from India and she has the longest hair and her hair is longer than she is tall.
Really?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Her mom has to help her wash it. And, it sounds like too much of a nuisance if you can step on your own hair.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's a lot less worth it, honestly, than the effort.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I guess one of our main missions today, kind of moving on a little bit from the icebreaker, is to talk about the PDR. So yeah, I don't know if you want to share your screen, Joel.
Absolutely. Do that. Yeah. So just, I guess, going on to some of the PDR feedback that we have. First off, we all wanted to say you guys did an awesome job, especially for putting everything together at the last minute. We just said it would have been great to have like a couple weeks to go through things again and make sure that we are maybe a little bit more comfortable with our slides, but you all seem, you know, very comfortable, especially for the time given. And kind of, I guess the aims for the PDR was to get a lot of feedback from the kind of like the board that reviewed our presentation. But so far, we really haven't gotten that information back. We don't know if we're going to end up getting it eventually. But hopefully we do get some of their feedback. And we know it was a little bit hard to hear some of the questions, but We'll make sure once we get some more feedback to go over that with a little bit more detail. And then hopefully in a little bit, we'll also have one of the old aerospace members come back on to give a little bit of their feedback from watching the presentation as well.
That Joel, I spoke to Kevin, and he's going to publish the notes here in probably either this week or the beginning of next week. He's about 3 weeks behind, he said, in his regular job. So, so as soon as he gets caught up, he'll send the notes. And also, did you see the note he sent out about Taylor's podcast?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I don't know if you had a chance to send that out to the rest of the team, but that would be I'd be very interested. I haven't listened to it yet, but
absolutely.
Yeah. Speaking on that real quickly, yeah. So I listened to it, but actually, Taylor is in town this weekend for a wedding, and so I saw her yesterday, and I told her. So, John, we were looking at the NASA CSLI proposal, and what they're asking for the feasibility and merit review. I think, especially if we don't get many more comments back on what we did for the PDR, and I took notes and shared those comments back. I think we're going to want to do more and maybe get a little bit more response from some of our reviewers. And so I thought that we could put together a matrix where like the 4 people that we had with us the few weeks before the PDR, and maybe those who did the PDR could go through and kind of check where we were on different things like viability for space and that type of thing. And so Taylor said that she has a PDR review type stuff from NASA. And so when she gets back home, she will email that to me. And so I think we can use that to be even more responsive to the RFP, and maybe ask some of the folks like Matt and Justin and Taylor and Beth to kind of go through a checklist and add comments to reinforce the merit and the feasibility. And I think when we get that, maybe then we look over our PDR slides and beef them up a little bit in areas where maybe we aren't necessarily quite there yet for being responsive to NASA.
Certainly. And so that's something that we'll have to be doing in the next couple of weeks once we are able to, hopefully get a little bit more of that feedback and then plan through some of those merit and feasibility reviews. And I guess a little bit later on in the meeting, we're going to go over kind of the good, the not as good things that happened more individually. But just since we're all together, does anyone have any comments how they thought it went? Or any general thoughts, I guess?
I thought it was a shame that we didn't get to see a rocket launch.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. That would have been an amazing experience. But maybe we'll have to go see one someday. But
I think we did well.
Or yeah.
I think we did well, but some problems we had with Zoom kind of sucked.
Yeah, that's definitely
agree
true.
I would agree with Gavin, just because it sounded like when they were talking to us, it sounded like they were underwater. Like it was so hard to hear them, and then we couldn't really answer the questions that well because we didn't know exactly what they were asking.
Yeah.
But I thought overall with our presentation, there were a couple hiccups, but like nothing like really bad.
I would tend to agree with that. Like overall, especially for the first presentation, it was good. I think when we can like get in person again and like even going forward for the feasibility and merit reviews, And maybe if we're not going all the way across the country, like to Florida, that might make the Zoom quality better.
Certainly.
I thought you guys did a great job in the way you presented, the way you handed things off. It's not easy getting in front of even a small group to do presentations. And so either you guys have had a lot of practice or you're just naturals. So, and I've gone through 45 years of presentations, and you guys did a bang up job.
Certainly. Yeah, no, that's a lot of good feedback. I guess a question I have for Tegan, and it doesn't look like Evan is on here right now. But I guess since you were tuning in from Zoom, how did you think that went from the remote side?
It went good. I mean, it wasn't like the most smooth transition between Zoom meetings.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a little, sometimes it would lag. And so when people would say something like that, then it would be kind of hard to hear their question. So I'd ask them again, and then it was just kind of complicated. But yeah, other than that, as far as like Zoom goes, I thought it was pretty good.
Certainly. It's good to hear.
They were going to have a microphone down there, but they couldn't hand the microphone because of COVID. So there's that nasty COVID again. That was one of the reasons why they couldn't have a mic. So they owe us some sound quality and a rocket launch.
Mm-hmm. Certainly.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
What about the other teams? Those of you that watched Florida and North Carolina, what did you think of their presentations? And like, was there anything that really stood out to you about their PBRs?
I think especially some of them, they didn't really, even though I feel like they were more prepared, they didn't know the answers to everything. So it's okay that we didn't know the answers to everything as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, kind of with that though, like if you were on Zoom, you could kind of hear him say it, but he was talking to one of the girls, and he's basically like, "We don't expect you to know everything. This is a PDR." He's like, "It's not your so."
Certainly.
I mean, Zoom kind of had that little pep talk, I guess.
You could kind of tell they've like done this before, like in the slide where they had like their whole schedule mapped out, that graph. So like sometimes you could tell, but I think it was like a major gap.
Certainly, yeah.
Joel, are we going to put up somewhere all the presentations? Because I know that the team didn't get a chance to see North Carolina, which I was kind of disappointed because they're sort of at the same point that you guys are. So that'd be a good metric. But we do have all the presentations now. We just have to figure out how everybody can view them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can make sure those get sent out. I completely forgot about making sure that everyone had access to those, but we can make sure that everyone does have access to those, and hopefully we can, view those a little bit deeper and see where we are in comparison, especially to the North Carolina team.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Just so you guys know, I did send your presentation out to about 10 different people that are supporting us. Those that are advisors and also some business associates of mine who are in the aerospace business. So if I get feedback, I'll send it along.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yeah, that'll be great to have.
Kind of on that note, anyone who got a DM from me on Slack asking for a picture, please send that if you are comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I guess That's for the PDR slides, right, MJ?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Do you want them to insert the picture there themselves, as well as the grade in school if they don't already have that in there?
I keep forgetting to unmute myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they can if they want to. I think I have all of the schools already filled out on just the copy that was in, I think, our Google Drive. So I might have to
Gotcha.
change it. Anyway, yes is the
Yeah.
answer to your question. You can put them on the presentation yourself.
And then do you want it to be the front of our face, or is it okay if it's the side? Because I cannot find any pictures that have the front of my face in them. So
I think just like any picture would be good, just so we have, like, I mean, the point of this is just so we have a picture to put to the name.
Mm-hmm.
Just take one right now.
Yeah.
Selfie it up.
All right.
Well, it looks like Ryan Green is here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ryan, do you maybe want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. I guess you guys don't know my Ryan Green. He was the team lead for AXP last year, and I've been doing pretty much, I guess, what we would call AXP for the last several years, since like 2015. And I have recently, I'm about to graduate, and I've accepted a position at the Goddard Space Flight Center. So I'm hoping to give you guys feedbacks from my prior experience doing XP and stuff I've done. So I'm hoping to be kind of more on a mentor role with you guys. So answer questions, help you guys not panic and freak out. So
absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, and it's great to have you here today. I guess I know you saw some of the PDR. Was there any big things that you suggestions that you had for the team in general?
So I did not see your guys' particular presentation, unfortunately, but I did ask MJ for a copy of those slides, and I've briefly looked over them. And I guess a question I had is: you guys have a slide about manufacturing these cells? Are you guys planning on making these cells yourselves here, or are these pre-purchased items?
So some of that kind of depends on like on what specific kind of perovskite we decide to use. We know that there are some companies that make perovskites, like specifically John McClure, and I had looked into one called Oxford PV, which is in England. We're making contacts with some of those companies now, but it might be possible to make them if we can't find a company that makes what we want.
Okay. I would just strongly recommend trying to find something that's already made or off the shelf. I think a big reason is when you guys want to do this experiment is you'd want to compare some of its performance, like a lot of its characteristics or performance that hopefully would already be done if it's already an off-the-shelf part to what it's on the Earth to what happens in space. So I'm just saying that it might be a lot more burden to put on you guys. It'll be a lot more work if you guys are having to make your own cells with the amount of testing you would have to do and with being sure that it works first before on the ground before it gets sent up. That's what I'm getting at. Is that if it's off the shelf, the characteristics have already been tested. All of its performance, whatever performance metrics it's used have already been done. And it's a known thing that it works. Whereas if you guys are having to make it yourself, you will have to do that on top of integrating into a spacecraft or CubeSat, and then seeing how its performance is in space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's just a caution, I guess, of what I'd say. But I mean, if you guys go down this route and you have to, then you have to. but it should definitely preference buying something already.
Certainly.
Because it will be a lot of work putting together a CubeSat mission on a lot of levels. So even if you guys, I'm just saying, I think it'll be a lot of work, even if everything you're buying is off the shelf and you're just having to put it together. Like that's still a lot of testing and work to be done. And so to also have on top of it making these solar cells, I think would be challenging.
Yeah, definitely.
That's really good advice. And if at some point we wanted to, what we could do is work it and like get it working. And then if we actually get it working, if we want to try making our own cells, we can do that a little bit in parallel, but we won't have to worry about whether our payload works, because we'll have a functional payload. And then if we can make our own cells and swap it out, then we can do it at that point, but we've got a solid payload.
Yeah. Hi, Karen. I didn't see you here.
Hi, Ryan.
John had a great idea, and hopefully we'll carry it through to a number of companies. John had suggested that perhaps we could get something donated, something that they've already tested. And I'm finding that there are many more companies besides the Oxford PV. And so we need a strategy to get those to sponsor. So I might hit you guys up to help figure out how we should approach them. And maybe one or two of you at some point to even present to these companies to give them some motivation to want to sponsor you. In addition to that, just some feedback from one of the advisors last week or 2 weeks ago, I think needs to really, after talking to a few people this week, we really need that strong tie and a really solid answer to, so why do you need to test it in space? Why can't you just do everything here on the surface? So as you go along, that answer has to be really tight. So NASA says, yeah, it makes sense.
Definitely.
Certainly. I guess if I might add to that with another question for Ryan, a lot of that comes down to, or what it could come down to is the TRL levels, right? And I know there are a few people on the team that did a lot of research into the TRL levels, but Ryan, from your experience, is there any thoughts or anything about TRL levels and the importance of developing them?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I have to change the battery in my headset.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
That's all good. I guess while Ryan is changing his battery, I don't remember off the top of my head who exactly worked on the TRL levels in the slides.
So, sorry. Okay. I guess my comment about the TR levels and about doing this is, and especially if this is hardware that hasn't flown before, and a reason on why you want to fly this, even if there's a bunch of testing you can do on the ground, is proof that it can work in an operating environment that it's going to be marketed for. So if the idea is that you want these to be on satellites that are in low Earth orbit, it's great to have testing and you can have a vacuum chamber on the ground and you have simulated sunlight. But part of that TRL level on those definitions is having a proof of having it operate in its actual environment it's expected. So a satellite, especially, that's what a lot of CubeSats are used for, is doing a lot of this proof of concept because they're cheap. So before, somebody who's putting up, like Starlink or a satellite that's really expensive, before they actually use something like this, they want to see that it has some heritage, some flight heritage, even if it's on a on a CanSat, which is good experiment because it's using actual sunlight. It's actually in the environment that you're expecting whatever you're trying to build to be in. And you can extrapolate more than just on lab data, because lab data can only go so far. Or I guess you can only go so far before you have actually proving it works, I guess. So that's an attractive reason to try to do it.
Certainly. Yeah, no, that's a lot of good feedback right there. And so, Katie, you were the one who worked on kind of the TRL level slides, right?
Yeah, I was.
Right. I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but would you be able to kind of talk about what TRL level you thought they were, and kind of what it would take to go from that TRL level to the next one, if you're able to?
Yeah, I think I
Okay.
can. So, oh my god, my internet's being laggy. Give me a quick second.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, we think that right now, at least, it's at number 5, which is basically like it's been used in like an environment with variables, like it's not just the best possible thing.
Mhm.
And after our flight, we'd like it to be at a 6, system validation in the relative environment, or system prototype in operational environment, which is basically like we want it to actually go to space and prove that it works, or at least it can work. I guess prove the possibility is kind of how I'd describe it.
Mhm.
I agree with that. Another thing I wanted to say, I guess, when John was talking, is another reason why this is an attractive thing for you guys to do. Is, I guess, kind of going back to when we did the previous USIP, where we had an experimental boom. It was attractive to have a student team work on a project like this, solely because it was cheaper to have students working. I mean, if you guys have research funding to develop this, and for a company, if a company can point to this experiment making their TRL level go up to like a 6 or a 7, and they don't have to put all the money into development because a student team wants to do it, then they're more, it's more likely that you can pitch that as why you should donate maybe some of your cells that are really expensive and we wouldn't be able to afford normally, is because we'd be able to, we're going to take on the work and the cost of building the whole system around it to show that it works, and actually getting it launched or manifested onto a flight and launched. And so for a company, or even a researcher, it might be worth taking the hit by donating something that's expensive, expensive solar cells, to be able to prove that, because in the long run it's cheaper than doing it all from scratch themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So those are two points I feel like you guys can lean on, I guess, when you're trying to talk to somebody.
Absolutely. We'll really have to kind of leverage that once we go into that kind of phase, trying to source these things.
Right.
All right. I don't know, Ryan or anyone else, do you have any other comments? I know I had a few other. I'm trying to think of them.
I guess maybe it's probably you guys are still figuring out. Are you guys? I saw a slide that you're talking about a deployable versus non-deployable. Is there kind of a leaning on what you guys would do on the slide? You guys have a picture, just something that folds out like on each corner of that square. Are you guys planning on doing something like that, or are you guys planning on just having solar panels on the side, or is it just going to be depend on what you guys get? Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay. That's fair. That's fine. That's fine. I will just say that it will be from like from mechanical standpoint, it will be less risk to have a non-deployable where it's on the surface, but the cost is you probably would have less surface area that you're testing. So
Yeah.
it's all gonna be something you have to evaluate, I guess, as you go forward. I know it's probably pretty preliminary in what you guys are deciding.
Yeah. I know, I think Elsa and Dylan did a little bit of work into just seeing the different types and the benefits and the risks, but yeah, I think we definitely need to do a little bit more math before we can figure out.
That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. This is preliminary, right? You guys figuring out stuff. It's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any other thoughts or comments by anyone?
Come on, guys. This is your one opportunity to ask the Ryan Green a question.
Oh man.
Yeah, he's kind of a legend around the aerospace club, we have to say.
I
Absolutely.
don't even know what I did.
What are you going to be doing at Goddard, Ryan?
I am part of their mechanical engineering branch, and I'm particularly working on a project called the Roman Space Telescope, which is kind of it's a way more updated Hubble Space Telescope, I guess is the best way to describe it. Hubble was built with early 90s tech, and so now we're upgrading it with a way bigger mirror and has way better sensors for doing doing measurements and observations. So, and in particular, I'm working on a deployable on their communication boom that deploys out, and it's very large. It's definitely bigger than a person. So it's way bigger than something I had to do at UNL. But because of the stuff I did at AXP doing deployables, it kind of led into that. So it's good. Thanks for
When
asking.
is that going to be deployed?
Like, when is it gonna launch,
Yeah.
Roman? Oh, I mean, I know tentatively it's like the mid 2020s, but with hearing like how the James Webb just keeps going and going, I wouldn't be surprised if it takes till the 2030s.
Oh dang. Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know how my work will be with it, if I will continue for that whole time or not. I guess I'll have to see how it goes.
Where is Goddard?
Just north of Washington, D.C. Little north in the suburbs, pretty much, I guess. But it's in Maryland.
Not far from Langley?
Oh, about like a couple-hour drive from Langley.
Cool.
Done it a couple times.
This is something for all the big Red Sat team members is just the University of Nebraska at Lincoln College of Engineering does not necessarily have a straight up aerospace degree.
No.
But look at all the engineer students that are graduating and also going into aerospace. So it is, when you start to do your due diligence, when you're looking at colleges and you're interested in aerospace engineering, it just says dig a little deeper and see what their graduates are doing and see what they're doing, because Lincoln's a great opportunity to also go into aerospace, and it's not necessarily right there on the board. Right, Ryan?
Right. I mean, the biggest thing I'd say is, I mean, there's a whole host of degrees that go and work at NASA, and the biggest thing is just to show, that you actually have interest and experience doing this stuff. So, I mean, all you guys are doing right now by doing AXP, by preparing PDRs and CDRs and all the presentations and putting in proposals, like that's what really makes the difference, in my opinion. Versus another person who's graduating with the same degree but going into doing agriculture stuff or going and doing biomedical is just showing that you have this past of wanting to work in aerospace related stuff at any level, and then you can talk to it. Like I think that's the biggest thing about when I was being interviewed and hired, was talking through all this stuff, about telling them about how I've gone through all these. And that's the reason why we try to structure these, like why you have things called a PDR and a CDR, concept design review, preliminary design review. It's because that is actually what NASA does. I mean, that's what they do. I've seen my coworkers do the same thing and have to defend their design choices and what they're doing to a board of other people that are more experienced. So this is how it works, and it's a great experience to be able to talk to when you guys are trying to get a job, especially in aerospace.
Absolutely. And I guess Gavin had a question. Would you recommend if we had a choice between a risky operation or a safe operation, but the risky one provides more reward?
I guess what you guys are gonna have to do is evaluate about what your mission objectives, like what are your criteria for being successful, and then you go look at what your option is. Like if this thing doesn't happen, like if the risky option fails, do we completely fail our success criteria? You know, then maybe you don't, but it's also, I guess is the big reason why you guys do the risk matrices, is you evaluate, you know, how critical a task is and how likely it is to happen. And so if it is a high risk and a high likelihood, then that's a problem, and then you try to mitigate it. You have redundancies, or you have a means of a backup to ensure that it's happened. So then you reduce, while the risk is still there of complete failure, you reduce the risk to being almost nothing is the point. But if you can't reduce that risk to being super low, then you might have to go think back to the base of your idea. Like maybe we shouldn't do this then. If we can't get the risk to be, you know, almost certain that it won't happen, the very low risk, then maybe we don't go down this route. So unfortunately, it's an open-ended answer, but it has to go with how you guys, you know, whatever you guys do. Like the deployable doors that you guys have on this on the PowerPoint from your PDR, where they just, it's one hinge and I'm pretty certain they're just spring operated. I mean, I feel like that's pretty decent. That's a pretty, you know, there is a risk that it doesn't open still, but like that's still a pretty dependable means of opening up. Now, if you do some, you know, origami folding solar panels and they're trying to come out with, you know, a type of boom I talked about before, that's going to be a lot more risky and take more time to make sure it doesn't fail, I guess. So you'll just have to evaluate. I'm not telling you not to do things, but you know, if it's really risky and you can't be certain that it won't happen, then you might want to not do it and rethink what you guys are working on, or what, like the concept that you're doing. So
Sounds good.
Certainly, yeah. I guess any other comments, or I guess last comments before we kind of make a transition?
I don't think for me.
All right. Any other AXP members, or John or Karen, last comments before we kind of transition?
No, but as you start to think about this going forward, there's a proposal to write in the next almost 45 days. Just a little bit longer than 45 days. And you really have to have it done in 30s or less, so you can get it evaluated, so you can enhance it and change it. So as you all are starting to look over the presentations again, and you look over the other team's presentations, start to make notes. So answer the question, how do I make it better? What can we do? And some of the things that Ryan has said, and Taylor and Justin and Matt, all those things, make note of and put them out on Slack so you guys can help each other. But because making the best and most complete proposal is going to be more important than whether or not it works in space. And so that is, so the emphasis of getting to the next step should be on the proposal. So think about how can we make this the best proposal that it can be, and how you guys can contribute and help one another. So start to use Slack, start to use the tools that your mentors are providing you, so you guys can talk to one another to enhance the end deliverable. That's going to be so critical. Kevin told me last week, if we just have a solid proposal, we stand a very good chance of being selected. And that is very, very important. All right.
Right. And here's the thing, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if it looks like we understand how to make it work is good. And if we can identify the risks and create plans to mitigate those risks. So just being thoughtful about, okay, where are the weaknesses and how might we overcome? So one of the risks, like Justin said, is that we could go down a bit of a rabbit hole if we try and create our own solar panels, right? So we can mitigate that risk by purchasing off-the-shelf panels or acquiring off-the-shelf panels. And so just think about that, because, you remember Justin talked about heritage systems that we can use. So just addressing here are what we'll want to do a little bit for this proposal is to be a little bit more specific of, here are the elements that we will have to have, and here are the potential risks with each, and here's how we're going to try and mitigate it, so that even we're convinced that we have good merit and that we have good feasibility. So we have to convince ourselves that if we're selected, giving the time, that this is going to work, that we've looked at everything that might interfere with it working.
Mm-hmm. And NASA knows that you've got about a year or 18 months to test before it actually gets launched. So they know if it's like Karen said, if it's just a solid proposal, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's something as you test, you will enhance to make it better. While the proposal said one thing, after you start to test and start to code and things like that, you may change your mind. You may find a better way. And so that is going to be, they understand that. And that's why these things don't get built overnight. But getting it to the next level. And in industry, you're talking to your board members who have to make investments in the company. And so they're trying to understand what is the likelihood of success. And if it's anything greater than 50, you spend the money to try to do it, if it's a good idea. So, so there's a lot of work to do afterwards, but just making it solid, and especially during the week, you're going to have some thoughts, write them down. That's going to be so critical. And start to enhance your skill set. Start to, as you have time, those of you who are doing drafting or have played with AutoCAD, play with it some more. Start drawing CubeSats, start drawing boards. Get some thoughts on your own. There's a number of articles that are out there. Even think about how you would even start to test these things, and because we not only have the solar panels, we have communication, we have the integration of the boards, we have the actual sizing. How do I stuff all this stuff in? Because you got 20 pounds of manure to put into a 1-pound bag, or 1U bag, I should say. So it's a lot of work to do, and you don't want to overload because you got school and extra activities. But as you go along, jot notes, put them down on Slack, challenge each other. Really important.
And to all of the Big Red Sat team members, like please, 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 please never be afraid to reach out to anyone on the AXP team and be like, so I was thinking of this. Like, what if we did this in our design? The amount of messages that Joel, John, and Michael have gotten from me that are to the effect of like, but what about this? Are uncountable. So they are used to it and they are so happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah, anything will be a break from MJ asking us questions. Am I right?
And
No, I'm
there
just
you
kidding.
go.
And
One other thing, let me
Oh,
throw
go
this in, is so we have to write this proposal, and I know that writing may feel really dry, but the fun part is designing and building and all that, and I absolutely get that, and I enjoy that more too. But if we don't do a good job with the writing, then we don't get selected to get to do all the fun part. So bear with us. There'll be things we'll ask you to look over, but it's doing a good job at this that lets us do all the rest of what we want to do.
The other thing that you should know that MJ and I and some others are going to document what you all are doing. So we're going to be making a video over this whole entire period, all the way up to launch and then after launch, because we have a lot of post-launch activities as well. So you'll have something that you'll be able to carry around the rest of your lives. And when you submit your application for college, you won't have to send in a portfolio. All you have to do is send in this video, and it should knock their socks off. So, so I just wanted you guys to know there'll be some history that you'll be able to take with you and be proud of later on.
Yeah. Now, I don't mean to cut things off, but we do have a little bit more to get to later in the meeting. So just kind of going forward, some high altitude balloon logistics, since AXP team is launching next Friday. That's November 6th. You know, some of the AXP team members plan to get there as early as 8 a.m. to start setting things up. And then we hope to have the balloon actually lift off at 10 a.m. So the most interesting part is going to be like from 9 to 10 when we're finishing setting things up, or maybe like 9:30 to 10 if people want to try and make it there in person or through our live stream. So you can attend in person if you would like, but if you do go, you're going to need to be accompanied by a parent pretty much at all times. It won't be too long, and there's not going to be too much to do. It's going to be mostly watching, which is why we wanted to make sure to offer a live stream, because I know it's a hassle to drive quite a ways sometimes. But we will keep you all informed with that, and make sure that you guys get the link for the live stream if you'd like to attend.
What, Joel, where is this football field or soccer field?
Yeah, I forgot to put that on there. So this is UNO. It's called the Pet Bowl in here. We'll make sure and set the address out as well. I just forgot to put it on the slide. But we'll be launching like right in here in this big green space.
How much extra weight do you have open?
On
You
the
have, yeah, you have some, I have something that's about 1 pound that I'd like to send with you.
What is it?
Tracker, a cellular tracker. And if that's the case, then they could also log in and watch it when it's got cellular contact.
Yeah. So I know we have a similar device with GPS that streams, but we'll have to see about that.
Okay.
Yeah. I know John Helzer might be able to answer those questions a little bit more in a little bit, but yeah.
We can take it offline. I just was curious.
That sounds good. So just moving forward, a quick intermission, or
Can I, before I do that, Joel?
absolutely.
Can we flip back? So, um, two things. One that I'll just piggyback on with what John said. If you know how much, like, if there's additional weight you can take on, it might be fun if the students who come have some very small memento that maybe they want to fly, that if they lose it, it would be okay. So maybe like, it might be a ring, it might be like a little pendant, it might be some little small thing, maybe even their CubeSat pin that they got. If you have the weight availability to do it. When we did we did a test rocket thing with NASA, and I couldn't believe it because they sent a rocket up into suborbital or gravity, and it came back down, and this guy actually sent up his wedding ring. And I thought he was nuts because he's lucky we recovered it, because the year before they had a problem and didn't recover the payload. So just make sure it's something that if you don't get it back, it'd be okay. And it's only if we have room. The second thing that we probably need to look at is parking at UNO is pretty tough. So if parents are bringing students there, we might want to see if we can get some direction on where and how they could park, because it's not, it might be easier now in times of COVID, right? Actually, you may have more parking spaces, but we just need to double check.
Yeah. And I believe when we talked to Dr. Nero, there's a lot right near the field. I believe it's this lot to the bottom right, which should be open at this time. But we just need to double check that, and we'll get that information out.
Right, because you might have to have a parking pass, even if there's space in the lot.
Joel and
Certainly.
John, is the plan also to have the team maybe just after the first of the year or early spring to do their own high altitude balloon launch?
Yeah. So we've kind of talked about that, to have a high altitude balloon launch sometime in the spring, just so we can, get a little bit more experience with, the idea of the CubeSat on a smaller scale and maybe test some of those components. But I don't think we've set anything in stone yet.
We have not.
Okay.
I think we were thinking, John, I think we were thinking later spring, so that we would actually have our own payload a little bit more developed to test things.
Well, that's a good idea. That's good. I guess the point that I wanted to make is you guys are going to have a chance to do what they're doing. So some of it, even if you can just, I know it's probably in the middle of school, but I assume that you're going to try to record it as well, Joel and John, and they could come back and watch it. But you'll be doing your own, hopefully in the late spring, as Karen points out. And so, and I've got, as you guys know, I've got a couple of extra weather balloons and cameras to send up. And so again, something to think about and look forward to.
Absolutely.
Certainly. Now John, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say about like the extra weight thing. So it's not really a weight issue. Right now we're running a couple pounds below like where we are, like for the 1,200 gram balloon that Dr. Nero is giving us. The bigger issue is with space. Depending on how everything gets printed, there is a possibility we might be able to print another capsule or something to put mementos in, but that's pretty unlikely at this point. What we're working with then would be the inside of the consumer off-the-shelf CanSat holder, which like I don't have it with me right now, but maybe has enough space for like a small fist size worth of stuff. But yeah, so I don't know about how well mementos would work.
Okay, well, and actually what we could do is do that when the students do their own launch.
Yeah, that might be better.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we just have a quick kind of intermission here. This is, I don't know, a semi-joke since we didn't get to see the rocket launch in person. Here's a different rocket launch that had, um, just so everyone can run up to that. But we'll be back in 5 minutes to start.
28.
Can everyone
25.
hear that?
Status check.
I don't know if there's
Go
a-
LF. Go center. Go L55.
It's pretty quiet.
Is that any better?
T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We have RD-180 ignition. And we have liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket carrying the NRO L-55 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office.
We have booster PU to close loop control.
You're hearing the voice of Rob Gannon providing launch vehicle ascent
Everything
data.
looking good. The RMR valve position looks good. MTU shaft speed looks good. Flight control is nice and clean, seeing normal disturbances for this time of flight. Main engine continues to operate normally. Vehicle is now flying at half the speed of sound. We are 3 miles in altitude, 0.3 miles downrange, traveling just over 1,000 miles per hour. RD-180 continues to burn normally. Up on Mach 1. L-55 is now supersonic. Flight control continues to be nice and smooth, RD-180 operating normally. We have throttled down to 95%, right on time. Nice and smooth. Minutes into the mission, everything looking good. Started Q alpha limited steering. RD-180 is burning normal. And the vehicle now weighs 50% of what it did at liftoff. 22 miles in altitude, 20 miles downrange, traveling at 3,000 miles per hour. Engines continue to burn normally. And we fired the pyro valve, pressurizing the second stage reaction control system. Pressure is rising as expected. Next event we're looking for, throttling down to 92% thrust. Expect that in 10 seconds. And we've got the throttle down, engine continues to burn normally. Parameters look good. Passing through 200 seconds into the mission, everything looking good. Vehicle now weighs 1/4 of what it did at liftoff. 52 miles in altitude, 107 miles downrange, traveling at 7,800 miles per hour. And we've begun boost phase chill down. Preparing the RL-10 for main engine burn on the second stage. RD-180 is throttling down. Preparation for BECO. Boost phase chill down has completed. BECO Booster engine cutoff. Coming up on stage separation. And we have stage separation. Looking good. Pre-start on fuel, pre-start on LOX. Ignition, full thrust. The RL-10 is up and running normally. Good start signatures. Coming up on fairing jettison. And we have fairing jettison. Both brake wires indicate a good jettison.
All right. Are we all back now after a short little break? Getting to watch the rocket.
That was a cool rocket.
Absolutely. All right. Well, if we're all kind of back here, we can just talk a little bit about some homework I don't know, some things we'd like you guys to work on for next time. Ooh, chat. Okay, so one of the things for the proposal, for the paper that we have to write, we'd like to have kind of a way to represent all of the diverse experiences of everyone on the team. So for the Big Red CubeSat team, we were hoping that we'd be able to kind of work with you in order to help develop a resume if you don't already have one, as well as just kind of like a little mission statement or maybe objective of why you think the working on CubeSat's important, what it's going to provide you or give you the ability to learn, experiences you're going to be able to have, some stuff like that. We don't want to provide you with like too many details or specifications on what it should be, but we're definitely here to offer any suggestions. And I'll just kind of blow through this a little bit so we don't take up too much time, but we're thinking about a half page in length and maybe up to a full page, but not beyond that. And maybe sometime this week we'll be hosting some work times where you guys can jump into a Zoom call and kind of, if you have any questions or want some help working on the resume, we can do that. Kind of a general time, I think tomorrow from like 6:30 to 7:30. I know we had some meetings before about that time, but if you guys are interested in that time, please let me know, and we'll get into that. So another piece of homework we have is there's actually this little document put out by the CTE technology. I forget what it stands for, but it's some homework for building a CubeSat. So you'll just print out these sheets and then kind of be able to build your own CubeSat. We're going to try and have like a 3D printed model that you guys can put together, but just with COVID and figuring all that, it's going to be a little more difficult.
And we will post the URL to that in Slack.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are not on Slack, if your notifications are not turned on, please do so.
Mm-hmm. And just a little bit, kind of the exercises. This is put out like by CTE who, have a little bit more experience than we do with CubeSats. And so they have all the parts that we need in there. So if you could just like go through it a little bit, try and analyze it, see what you know, what you don't know, and, kind of have some questions from it, hopefully, and be prepared to kind of just briefly talk about the model, any like struggles, difficulties you had, or any questions at the next meeting. It might be kind of like an icebreaker, but we'll see. Yeah, I guess there's the link. But
I was gonna say, Karen and John McClure. Karen, I think you had something to talk about with John. I put you guys in a breakout room.
Yeah, John might be not at his computer right now. If we just send him a message, hopefully he'll join when he gets back. But for kind of the special surprise here, since you guys did a lot of work for the PDR up to this point, and we wanted to give a little bit more personalized feedback, as well as have some fun since it's also Halloween. We planned this last little bit for we know a lot of your guys' favorite game, or I don't know if it's your favorite game, but a game that you guys play together and I think really bonded over. So we're gonna have one, maybe two. We'll have to see how many people are actively playing in the game. But then we'll also have like maybe a breakout room open where we're going to be moving some people who presented into, and some of the AXP team members are going to, give a little bit of feedback on what you individually can do in order to grow as a presenter and as a team member. But I don't know. John, you are the host, right?
I am one of the hosts.
Well, you're the one that can do the breakout rooms, right?
Okay.
I think. Do you want to open up a breakout real quick?
Shoot, I don't think I can do that without closing the one with Karen and John. I might just have to do that and then like reassign.
Yeah, if you open up like 4 different breakout rooms, then that should be good.
Shoot, what is this thing? Okay, 1 second. There's some technical difficulties.
Absolutely, that's okay.
I have to wait for this one to close in 44 seconds.
Whatever room I'm in, dip's orange.
I guess. I think. Let me pull up the document wherever it is. If it just give me 1 second.
This thing closes.
Yeah, so I think Katie and Gavin, you two are going to be the first 2 people we kind of want to individually talk to, just, some brief things. We'll be talking to everyone that presented, but if you two might not want to join a game to begin with, let me stop presenting, or I don't know. Just
Joel and John, can you throw us back into the breakout room?
Yeah, 1 second. I had to reclose it. I had to close it so I can make breakout rooms for everyone.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Karen was going to write me a check for $1 million, so I want to go back and watch that.
Yeah. I could write you one for 100 million because no bank's going to accept that.
Yeah, right.
I write it for $1 billion, whatever you want.
I once took a customer up in my hot air balloon, and I told him that unless he signed the contract, I forgot how to land this thing.
I've been up in a hot air balloon once, and the gal who apparently the constraints on being a pilot are limited. And the gal, there was like the champagne breakfast afterwards, and when nobody else wanted champagne, she like literally swigged the rest from the bottle. The next afternoon, evening, I'm watching the news, and there's this hot air balloon accident, and the pilot broke a leg, and they're showing pictures of the balloon, and I'm like, that looks like my balloon. And sure enough, she had crashed and broken her leg. And
Oh,
thankfully, the family that was in the balloon with her didn't get hurt. And I'm like, mm-hmm.
yeah, oops. Well, that's called pilot error. I've flown 700 times and never have been close to an accident.
No, she was just not qualified. When we landed, we had a packed basket where, I mean, I couldn't move. And we landed where it was a development where there were wooden stakes and there were steep drop-offs from the leveling. And our basket almost tipped over where like everybody was going to be on me and where we were going to dump out over this ledge, you know? And thank heavens we landed a little bit sooner, but I was grateful none of us ended up hurt. So, but I'm sure you're a much better pilot than that.
I like to think so, but that's actually, that happens a lot where it's called a lay down landing. Yep, it happens, especially on a windy day. But usually what you're supposed to do is pilots are supposed to put themselves in the front so the passengers fall on them. That's why I never lost weight, so it's a little bit softer for my passengers. Okay. So do we want to go into a separate room? Something wrong with your eyes, MJ?
Yeah, 1 second. Before everything gets a little crazy, everybody please say thank you to Ryan Green for joining us today and giving his feedback. And Ryan, I don't know if you want to stay for the games, you are more than welcome to. Otherwise,
There's no problem coming to talk to you guys. I'm happy to do this. So
thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
We appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much, Ryan.
No problem. Happy to meet more and talk to you guys, give more feedback and stuff. So I am gonna go though. I have stuff to do, fortunately.
Absolutely. No, we appreciate the time you were able to give us.
Of course. It was good talking to you guys, and hopefully I'll talk to you guys again soon. Next meeting or
see ya.
something. All right.
Yep. Thank you, Ryan.
Bye.
Oh, well, and also Ryan, if you want, oh, never mind. I was gonna say we could forward in the live stream link, but we can do that anyway. All right. So, well, I guess we can talk about stuff later. Joel, when were you going to talk about the thing with John McClure?
Like right now. Can has MJ the only one that has left the room so far?
Yes.
Okay.
MJ, well, John and Karen are in their room.
Yeah. That's understandable. Can you have her come back really quick? Like, remove her from the room. You should be just to assign her to a different room. All right. But part of this was sneakily putting Karen and John in their own room so that we can all kind of say thank you to John for helping set up the PDR, because he went to a lot of work to get that space and to get you guys the pins. And we just kind of wanted to put together a thank you. So if you're able to turn your camera on, we'd really appreciate it. Because we're gonna cut this little clip out and end up sending it to John. All right, awesome. Thank you guys. I don't know, does anyone want to kind of, or have anything that they want to say to John eventually when we send this? I don't know. Maybe if we can all, or go ahead, John.
Oh, I was just going to say that everything he's done is awesome. Like just, I don't know, the sheer amount of work, and not just on the organizational side, but like I keep getting emails from him with different perovskite ideas. So he's really putting in the work on the technical side as well, which is great.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. Yeah, he does a lot of great work, and we're really lucky to have someone as dedicated and with as much experience as he does on the team. Right. And I guess do y'all kind of want to say thank you together? So I don't know if you can all unmute yourself. I'm gonna like count down from 3 till
Are we
on,
doing
hold
it
on, hold on, hold on.
one or after one?
on
Hold
0.
on,
So 3,
hold
2,
on.
1, say it.
Hold on. You're planning on doing this right now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
We are recording.
Yeah. Why wouldn't everyone just take a video of themselves individually and then send it in and we can mash it all together?
Well, just so we have everyone together on the Zoom call right here. And then we might do other things as well.
People. And whatever, it's fine. Okay, so on 0.
Yep. So 3 or so thank you, John on 0.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Thank you,
John.
Thank you, John.
That was the worst.
Say
Okay,
zero,
okay.
Joel.
So Joel, it's 3, 2, 1, go, and then loud. Everybody say thank you, John.
We almost,
Yeah.
We needed instructions.
Okay.
All right.
You want me to
MJ.
count down?
Yeah. Why don't you count down?
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna say go, and after I say go, everybody yell, thank you, John. Okay? Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
And y'all need to work on your projecting voices. Loud.
We'll work
Loudness.
You gotta bring it up to the diaphragm.
dude. It's digital.
Yeah.
Okay, you
All
can
right.
change the volume, but you can't change the fact that I yelled over everyone else because everyone else was like, thank you, John.
Well, we're glad that you're so appreciative of John McClure.
Yes. Certainly. But why don't we send the people to breakout rooms? And I don't know how the Among Us game is going.
Is somebody gonna stay and like monitor that?
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about our progress too, Gavin, if we can't nail this down.
Everyone's saying thank you, John, in the Among Us chat.
That's nice. Also, who's sus? Who's sus?
Also, hard is spelling.
Also,
That
I
is
think
sus.
that the people in the, well, no, never mind, actually.
That is
Okay,
always
so yeah, we'll assign, we should assign people, yeah, and then I
I
can
also
maybe
thought I
join
heard this,
too.
but I'm not certain. Did someone ask what sus meant? Okay, I
No,
thought I
Joel
heard
said
someone ask
who
what
is
sus
sus.
meant.
Yeah.
Ah.
I'm not-
I think Gavin sus. Just saying.
I agree.
He's always sus, and he always kills me.
I know, right?
Because I killed him the one time, I'm always dead when
One
he's
time.
an imposter.
All right.
And then Joel, MJ, and Mikey, how should we do this assigning thing? Because like I can keep popping in and out of rooms, but
Yeah. Why don't
like,
you just stay in the general room to assign people? Is that fine with
Okay.
you?
Yeah,
Unless
that's fine with
you
me.
have- Yeah.
Do you assign breakout rooms?
Yep.
Okay, so join. So everybody who has like the join breakout room tab on the bottom should click it now-ish. Okay, sounds good.
Hi, Gavin. How are you doing?
Good.
Are you playing Among Us right now?
Yeah, it's fine. I can just quit and
Okay.
join back in.
That's fine. Well, we just wanted to give you a little bit more individual feedback one-on-one, just not in a big group setting, because we think you'll be able to get more out of it on the one-on-one setting. So, we definitely gave you one of the more challenging sections, or several more challenging sections, with not a ton of, guidance like we gave some other people. So we're really impressed with like your ability to do that. And we thought you did a really good job, maybe not exactly reading off the slides and, providing supporting information, which is, really hard to do. And there are definitely some people who can't quite do that yet. And, ultimately, I don't know if you've talked much about like presenting and how they want to make it like conversational. So you want the audience to feel like they're connecting with you and all that. And we think, out of everyone on the team, you did a really fantastic job, making it conversational and not just like this is a presentation and like slide to slide to slide. You did a better job about that. Now, something that's, hard to transition from, group meetings like this where we don't have to be so professional, and professional presentations is using those informal words like stuff or things or this and that. And I know we noticed just like a few times you said that. It's not a big deal or anything, just something to, maybe work on, for especially the formal presentations. Other than that, we thought you did a really great job. Is there any like questions or anything like that you have?
Not really about presenting.
Okay. I guess, have you done many presentations just in general?
Kind of. Most of them have just been at school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of liked presenting on Zoom because like most of the audience was on Zoom because I kind of get nervous in like in-person environments more.
Certainly. No, I understand that. I I have to say I enjoy presenting things on Zoom more than in person as well. I don't know. That'll get better with more experience in front of people, I guess. For at least it has for me. But yeah. And honestly, and like I know we've said this several times to like the entire group, but you are definitely one of the people that I have seen college students that cannot present as well as you. I have worked with college students on teams that have not been able to present as well as you can. So I guess keep up the good work, and we're really glad to have you and the good work that you do.
Thank you.
Absolutely. But I guess as far as like specific comments and all that, that's probably about all I have. Is there anything else? Any questions or thoughts or things you want to make sure to, experiences you want to have on the team?
I can't really think of any right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably think of some later. Could I just like send them in Slack?
Absolutely. Yeah, because like ultimately you are definitely one of the people that like have contributed a lot to the team already, and we want to make sure and reward not just showing up but doing the good work. And so if there's any type of opportunities we can help connect you with or experiences you want to have, just please let us know, and we'll try our best, really try our best. And because you've definitely showed that you're someone that we want to invest in, I guess you would say. But yeah. But that's probably all I have. And if you do come up with those things, let us know. We'll try our best.
Got it.
But we'll let you get back to Among Us now, I guess.
Should I just leave the breakout room? Or
Yeah. Yeah, you can leave the breakout room. I'm actually gonna leave it too and then just pop back in.
Okay.
But yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Hi, Caleb. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Doing pretty well as well. Um, so how did you think the presentation went
I thought it
on
went really well.
Saturday? Yeah. Um, that's also kind of what we unanimously thought, especially for like what you presented. We were very impressed with like your ability to present. And yeah, all of
Thank
that
you.
in general. The block diagrams you did, like that's honestly one of like the best, I think entire slides that got presented in the presentation, because there were very few words. It was a diagram, and you were able to kind of really intelligently talk around the diagram, explain why things were they were, and all of that good stuff.
Thank you.
Another thing that we wanted to say you did a good job on is while you were presenting, we were trying to aim for being conversational with the people you're presenting to, which is hard over Zoom or whatnot, but just kind of, instead of having like the formal presentation, this and this and this, make it like a flow a little bit easier than in like a typical presentation. I thought you did a great job with that, as well as just like not going too fast when you're talking and not going too slow, because there's a lot of people who were able to present their information well, but maybe they went a little bit too slow or a little bit too fast. But we thought really tailored your speed really well to the audience and all of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And just some things we wanted to say, like some places where we thought you might be able to improve, because we can all improve slowly but surely over time, I guess. When we move from like the general meetings like this, we're able to be more informal, to like the more formal presentations, professional, I guess. I don't know, several people did this. Maybe using those more general terms like things and stuff, if we can avoid that and talk very specifically about this particular thing to this particular thing. And yeah, no, but other than that, you did a great job. You're really to the point like where you can start, I don't know, really going after those cool presentations, like the TED Talk type of presentations. I don't know. That as a society, I think we've kind of put that as like one of the top presentations, I guess, but where there's just like a couple words of a couple like big ideas, and then you're able to comfortably talk around it. I guess just out of curiosity, how like comfortable are you up there? Were you very nervous when
Yes.
presenting?
Very.
Well, I certainly can understand being nervous, but you really didn't show it. You seemed pretty comfortable, and like you knew what you were talking about. So it's good stuff. I don't know. I guess in general, while we're kind of like one-on-one, is there any type of like experiences that you haven't had on the team that you want to make sure and have, or just things you want, us to be able to provide for you on the team?
No, I think pretty good.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, I know I just talked to Gavin right before this, and he said he might come up with some things later that he might want to, do, or experiences he wants to have. But if you come up with anything or need a reference on an application or something like that, please let us know. We're more than happy to really serve in whatever capacity we can. You just reach out to us over Slack and we'll do our best.
Sounds good. Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Thank you for your work on the team so far. Now, I won't take up too much of your time and kind of let you get back to playing Among Us, or it seemed like you had some other things to do as well.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. We'll see you later, Caleb.
Talk to you later.
Supposedly. Okay, we're done, Katie.
I won. You guys all lost.
Okay.
Okay, who was the imposter? And
So is the code.
Gavin was the imposter, but we're playing hide and seek among us.
It's
What's the
super
code? What's the
easy.
code? Give me the code.
Oh, it's a OUTQWQ.
It's easy with hide and seek, especially if you look at the admin map, because that
Mhm.
shows you who's in what room.
And Peggy.
Who's yellow? Have to be orange, Peggy.
hi, Elsa. How are you?
Good.
That's good. I guess just a question for you. How did you think the PDR went on Saturday?
I think it went pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. In general, and I guess specifically your parts, like in general, did you think it went well too?
Yeah.
Okay, it's good. We thought it definitely went well as well. And we thought your parts went, very well as well. Not to say the same thing again, but yeah, I know we sent you a message right after the PDR, but you really have been our person that we've like gone to when we've needed a little bit of help, and you've delivered if not over delivered, and so we're really glad to have someone like you on the team. But I guess just thoughts about presentation skills and presenting. You did a lot of a good explanation on providing extra information with the slides. When you're talking, you were somewhat conversational, which is good. We don't want to just be like, this is a slide in the presentation, this is a slide. You're more natural with it, which is ultimately what we're going for, that like more TED Talk type of presentation.
Yes. I do love to talk.
Absolutely. I mean, that's great. I mean, certain times it can get us in trouble, but in presentations, it's usually pretty good. And just another thing that we thought you did well, especially some people are struggling with, is going at a good pace. So you don't just keep going and going and going too fast. You definitely you start off at a good pace and you pretty much stick with that pace the whole time, which is a pretty good, pace.
Yeah, when I started presenting, when I started practicing, I'd in 5th grade when we started doing presentations, I'd always talk super fast. Same with when we did chamber groups and orchestra, and I'd introduce us, but I'd always talk way too fast. One time I had to, I was in 4th grade and I had to say our name in front of the whole school. And my orchestra teacher made me restart because I was talking too fast. And I was just like, oh no. But I learned my lesson.
Certainly. Well, it sounds like you do have that experience at all in nerve-wracking situations, I guess. So you couldn't be too nervous on Saturday, could you?
No, it's I get a lot of practice from playing, in orchestra. A lot of the time I'm first chair, so people are staring at me a lot. And our class gives my teachers like to make us give presentations. So I've given a lot of presentations. I don't know why. And then of course, my mom likes to sign me up for things. So I get, a bunch of random other presentations I've done for random things. I don't know.
Absolutely. No, that's good. And I mean, that experience has definitely shown in the presentations that you have given and everything that we've seen so far. And, we always want to give some sort of suggestion on how we can improve, because we always can be improving, right? So you tended to expand pretty well about the information on the slide versus adding that extra information. But it's partially the slide design. When we go through these things, we write full sentences, but we mean to put like those like shorter, phrases, but
Mhm.
just trying to talk around the lines on the slide, and the slides are supplementary, like more like the speech with the visual aid, I guess. I don't know.
I tried to simplify some of them. Like, I didn't have enough time to simplify all the slides, but especially Gavin's. They were just like, I saved them for last. I was like, oh my gosh. But I changed them into 3 bullet points because I was like, oh. But then I didn't know if he was prepared for the 3 bullet points, and he didn't respond to the morning of, and I was just like, oh. I was worried for a little bit that he wasn't gonna be able to speak it, but he was fine.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's good. And like you've, I think you take a little bit of ownership in what you've done so far, and that's great. Just proofreading things in general. You're when you've like gone through the slides and not reorganized, redesigned them, I guess, it's always look fantastic. But yeah, we're just really happy to have you on the team, and proud of the work that you've done so far.
Thank you.
I guess, is there any I guess sort of opportunities that like we as a team can provide you with? Anything that you want to work on, or a piece of design that you wanted to work on?
Nothing yet that much. I love giving presentations. So if you ever need help, like I know you guys are talking about like reaching out to companies. So if you need help with like making presentations for that, I love doing that. So
Certainly.
that's definitely my favorite thing to do.
We'll definitely keep that in mind. Let me just take a few notes about that. Yeah, well, it's definitely something that we haven't done enough of yet, but we're gonna need to do a lot more going into the future. I know that's usually like a thing that people like despise, like giving presentations, speaking in front of people, but it's great to have someone that enjoys it at least a little bit.
Yeah, I love. I'm very social, so I love talking and I love like spending time with other people.
Mhm.
So it's kind of funny because during the whole quarantine thing, I just like, I loved going to the Stack Museum, seeing like real people for once.
Yeah.
Yeah, because since I'm doing homeschool this year, I don't go to normal school, so I don't really see anyone, except sometimes we'll go on like a bike ride to get exercise. I'll see them then. And then my friends' birthdays. I think my friend Blake has a birthday coming up next week.
Mhm.
And so we're all gonna go ice skating. I don't know.
Ice
That'll
skating
be
is
fun.
really fun.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Well, I guess if you have any other like opportunities that we might be able to help with, please let us know, and we'll definitely keep you in mind when we are trying to design some presentations. I know we asked you and Robert to kind of help with the YPSE competition. There's a similar one. Well, so we didn't apply for the YPSE. Kevin just put us in there. There's a
Yeah.
similar one in January, the one in Australia. But I think we'll be recording a video, probably over Zoom. But we might ask you to help out some with that.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah, that's great.
Absolutely. But yeah, please reach out if you have any other things that we can help you with.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just thanks for being on the team, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll let you get back to Among Us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll see you later.
Joel, I see you just popped in. So it looks like everyone's done with their feedback. Should I tell Karen and John to come out too?
I think I'm gonna go too. We have some stuff to do later.
All right, I'm closing breakout rooms then.
John, I think we,
Yeah, they busted us up. Can you send me at least the text around the support letters? Because I've got ownership of getting all those support letters for the proposal. I
Okay.
have General Henson, who was the vice commander of Space Command. He's going to write one. I've got General Kerry. The governor is going to write one. Jeff Fortenberry, both senators. We have some other folks in Omaha that are going to write some letters. Some leading folks in the industry and the west side of the state. So we're hoping more that what I'm told is the more support letters we have. The other thing too is I didn't see where funding, where they want some part of the proposal, as I understand it, is to show that we have the ability to get to the funding we need to deliver this. So I'd like to see exactly what the requirements are. We're going to have an account at the Nebraska Foundation, so everybody who writes a check to us will be able to write it off. And so I just want to make sure, because we're not going to raise $150,000 before you get selected.
Right.
That's kind of crazy. So, but we have to show that we have a path to getting that funding. So I just need to make sure that I provide you guys with that path.
Yeah. So what is it again that you want me to send you?
Actually, you're okay, John. I'll give you another assignment later. Like you need another assignment. No, I was Karen. You interrupted us right in the middle of mid-sentence.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it's okay. My wife thinks she should have one of those tools as well.
So, and maybe John, you and I can talk offline. I need to really pour through this. I didn't really see a requirement for those support letters, but I think that it's a good idea. And then there's some other stuff, and so I need to get our thoughts completely organized so that we are putting the focus in the right areas to have a really solid proposal, which I think will also help organize us for getting selected and moving forward.
Yeah, Kevin, I thought in his first and YSAT 1 had about 10 to 15 letters of support. So any of you Big Red Sat members can think of someone that you think would be a good person to maybe ask to write a letter for us to do that. Send those into MJ or Joel or John.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah. So, and we'll need to just write up kind of a list of what the different elements are and how we want to put it together and who's going to be the lead for each of the different elements.
I already have one from General Kerry. So Mike wrote one already. I think I sent that along to you guys.
Yeah. That looks good. I guess just to kind of wrap up the big Red CubeSat members that are still here. Thanks for coming to the meeting today. Hopefully you guys got some feedback on your individual presenting skills, as well as just kind of where we can go from here. If anyone has any questions about the How to Do balloon launch, if you're able to make it or not, we'll probably be sending out some more information about the live stream once we get that figured out and send it out. But feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Absolutely.
Thanks for stopping in today.
Thanks, Joel. Thanks, John. Thanks, MJ. Wake up, Michael. Thanks, Matthew.
AXP people that are sticking around, maybe we can share thoughts real quick on how feedback went.
And we're good. I had Dylan and Robert, and they're just kind of that. Let me list back up real fast. The main things that were on the list, anyways, were with Dylan. His So one of the things were expanded slides, more past info, but as far as his presenter skills, don't use words like stuff, so like filler words. Whereas Robert was talking about getting a bit smoother with his presenting, and they're both like, yeah, I know I need to do that. So mine went well. They didn't really have any extra comments, so but yeah.
Yeah, I can say about the same for mine. I had Caleb and Elsa and Gavin. 3 great presenters.
We did a lot of really good presenters. Like overall,
That's
everyone
true.
did a great job.
To be fair, yes.
Who was John McClure's Casey? Was she here today? She wasn't here today, was she?
Yeah, she was here today.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. So I only had Katie, and then I was supposed to have, I think, Casey and Andrew Hardy maybe, but both of them just bounced.
Yeah. Casey went with Nick and Matthew, I think, right?
Yeah, I think Casey was in my breakout.
Oh, okay.
Well, Nick, did you have more than one people at once?
What?
So did you have 2 people at the same time?
It was me and Matt, and then we had, oh God, I can't remember her name right offhand. No, the first one we had, I think her name was, it was Tegan or Tegan.
Tegan, yeah.
And then we had Casey, and I think most of the stuff we said for Tegan was that she did really good and stuff like that. And then for Casey, we talked about how like she did a good job with the pace and stuff, but get a little more familiar with the slides, how most of the people already know what's on the slides because they can kind of read it. They just kind of want you to expand on that a little bit more and stuff like that. So I said, I mean, you can look back at the slides to kind of resituate yourself after you expand on something, and then you can kind of be like, okay, where was I? But I was just saying to her, you know, it's not a script that you need to read from 100%. And that's all you can say and stuff like that. So I hope that was the advice we were hoping to give, because that's kind of what I said. So
No, I think that's perfect.
So next week, I don't know if you guys have like a bunch of stuff planned, but I was hoping that we could do like, it's a public speaking exercise, but it basically is to work on summary skills and just kind of like you start with like a really basic topic and you're given 3 bullet points about that topic and you have to talk about it for 2 minutes.
All right.
That'd be good. Yeah, I think that'd be a great thing to do. Yeah, both Robert and Dylan were like, are we going to be presenting it to NASA again soon? I was like, no, don't worry about it. Don't stress about this. You know, like you should work on these skills in general, but don't set it to a deadline that you're going to be stressing out about. So I think that'll be a great thing for us to do, though, especially with the 8th graders.
Yeah. Otherwise, like I didn't know if we were going to be presenting again.
I mean, just the feasibility and merit reviews probably is the soonest thing.
So they are going to be doing that?
Yeah, and that should be like similar-ish environment to the PDR, but obviously a little bit more in depth.
Okay.
Well, and I think we may want to see whether we want to get the slides cleaned up, but actually just send it out to our reviewers and not actually have them re-present.
Okay.
Okay.
So they can do it. I think we need to think about it and look at what it is, because we also want to accommodate our reviewers' time. So if they're not able to see another presentation,